I have been using the term like bend the knee to the industry a little bit. You just have to go with the flow of the times. Otherwise, would you rather people see the work or not at all?
Lili Reinhart, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
So you are an actor, producer, founder of your skincare line Personal Day. There's so much going on in your life. How are you dividing your time right now?
Right now, the dust has settled. I shot 3 movies back to back this year, which I've never done before. It was a lot, but now I get to focus on Personal Day and press for my show that's coming out and for my movie that just came out. So right now it's calmer, but definitely while I'm actively working on set, it's more challenging to balance my production company and my skincare line, but that's why I'm surrounded by a team of really wonderful people who, you know, it's all, like, yes, I'm doing it, but also it's full credit to the people around me who are my producing partner, Catherine, and my Personal Day team of people around me. It's them, they keep the train moving.
Yeah, it takes a village when there are so many things going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you, when you first started acting, like, did you want to parlay it into all of these different sorts of endeavors, or how has that come about?
I feel at a certain point in your career, the opportunity sort of presents itself in one way or another. You know, do you want to go on this venture, and do you either say yes or no? And at first, with a brand, I was not thrilled by the idea, only because no one was presenting, hey, do a skincare line. It was just sort of an open-ended question of, would you pursue being a brand founder? And of course it was interesting to me, but also sort of the idea of a celebrity brand sort of made me roll my eyes as a consumer as well, just seeing, you know, sometimes the relationship doesn't seem authentic, and I really am, authenticity is so key to me, and a lot of that I do, and I would hate to do something that felt forced. So it wasn't something that I was seeking out. It was only really when the idea of a skincare line had been thrown out there because of my openness and honesty about my struggles with acne since I was 19 on Riverdale. And I've had acne since I was 12, but that was the first time I had an audience listening to me talk about it. I still was sort of thinking to myself, I don't need to add products that already exist into an overcrowded market, because I kind of just thought that that's what celebrity brands did. This persona we put with Personal Day was like the older sister you could trust. Maybe it's your friend's older sister that you think is really cool, and sort of that vibe into our brand of someone you can trust, someone who has compassion and empathy for what you're going through. And so, you know, but also having really striking and inventive social media and campaigns, and it was only when I really found that there was this pocket missing in the market that became the ethos of Personal Day, where it made sense, and I was like, full steam ahead, let's pursue this.
What does the team look like today? Who have you brought in to like do these different tasks, you know, from research and development to the marketing to, you know, business operations? Like, what does the team look like at large?
I mean, we have a very small team. We launched not even a year ago from when we're talking now. And we're in Ulta, which is amazing. But yeah, we have a very small team, and each person wears a lot of hats because that's just what you do for a startup, and you can't really grow your team until you have the means to do so. So, I mean, we're lucky that the people we bring on are really hungry and want to wear those different hats, and it's sort of just the name of the game for a startup. So, you know, we make sure with the people that we bring on, like, this is not easy. You don't have an $100,000 photo shoot budget. You have like, I'm doing my own glam budget, which is like, okay, whatever. That's not that big of a deal. But we hope to grow, obviously, as a business to be a bigger business with a large team of people, but we're not there yet. We're in our first year. So just making sure that the people that come on are really creative and driven and ambitious, and also budget smart, but also just taking advantage of the social atmosphere. So whatever people want to see on TikTok, you know, trying to relate to them, like, I'm talking to you from my bathroom. I'm not in a glitzy studio where it's not looking fancy. It's, oh, I am putting a blemish patch on right now, so let me show you, sort of unfiltered kind of way to relate to the audience.
So you guys are in 700 Ulta stores now.
Yes.
What does growth look like from here on out? You said that you're working on 2027 products.
Yeah.
Like, what else are you doing to continue reaching that, larger business that you said you guys hope to become one day?
I mean, it's just a matter of how do you level up? And that's where I have to trust people who are way smarter than me with those business decisions, but we all just come in with the passion and desire for that, and making sure we share the same vision, I think, is ultimately incredibly important. Not just sort of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, but making sure everyone on the team has the same North Star that we're looking at. So I think having those check-ins with your team and making sure that you are all still looking at the same goal is incredibly important, and making sure that our products are telling a story as well, and what we're actually trying to say with what we're releasing into the world, rather than just throwing things out there.
What's been the biggest challenge incorporating all these different kind of aspects, being a founder both of Personal Day but also your production company, into this probably very busy life already as an actor and producer on so many of your other projects?
I think it's a matter of surrounding yourself with the best people for the job. People that you trust is the biggest thing, and I don't take that for granted.
You just closed like a very long span of time filming. Do you have one section of your career, another, that either reinvigorates you or calms you down, or what do you get out of these different kind of parts of your career right now?
Wow, good question. I think I really feel that I'm in businesswoman founder mode with Personal Day, because that's my position, but it also is super creative, and it's almost like an artistic side of me gets to come out in terms of our packaging and naming the products and the visuals that we use on social. It does feel very creative, very different creative part of my brain than being on a set. I'm not sure if one aspect rejuvenates me. I think I need to actually take a vacation in order to be rejuvenated, but I don't know. I think some actors don't like to watch their own work or do press, but I think when I'm actually doing press for a film or television show that I've shot that I'm really proud of, that's actually quite inspiring, I think, because I get to talk about the project that I love, and that kind of I don't know, that feels good.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to know that you're putting things out not into a void, but into, a group of people, or reaching your community.
It's like it's satisfying on set to film the scene and to wrap something, but I also find it satisfying when it comes out.
Yeah.
And I get to see the finished product. Sometimes it's good and I love it, and sometimes I don't love it, but either way, I think it's just sort of, it has to come full circle for me in order for me to feel like, oh, okay, I did it, it's good, let's celebrate it and move on.
Totally. We're going to get into all those sorts of things and all you're working on and building right now. I want to take a step back for a minute. You've been acting for 17 plus years at this point. Obviously, you made a huge name for yourself on Riverdale. Can you let me know a little bit about kind of that entryway into this industry? What was the audition process like? What was the timeline like, going from hearing about the project to it becoming so relevant in society today?
Well, yeah, I've been acting since I was 12, and I think it's fair to say I didn't get my big break, which is what they call it, I guess, until I was 19, which is when I booked Riverdale. And initially I had a manager, an agent, I had a team. I had been working years prior, but I got an audition for it and I self-taped at home. They were like, okay, great, never heard anything. I was living in North Carolina at the time. I was 18 at the time. And then a few months went by, I moved to LA, and I was actually moving back to LA for the second time. I had moved there initially, and I was losing money, not making money, it was not working out, and I moved home. So it was my second time trying LA, and my manager called me and said, they haven't found the role of Betty yet. Would you like to go in person and audition, which you sort of have better odds anyways, because you get to make that personal connection with the casting director and sort of wow them a little bit more, I guess, in the room. And so I said, of course, yes. And then I auditioned in person, and then auditioned like 5 more times to eventually booking the role. But there was no, and never is, I don't think, predicting the success of something like that. I mean, you're just shooting a pilot, which is the first episode of a show. We weren't picked up for a series yet. It was just the one episode, and you sort of cross your fingers and hope, well, I hope we get to do this again, or that we get to keep telling this story. And I think it was maybe a month after we shot it, we found out that we were picked up for our first season, which was 13 episodes, and then I relocated to Vancouver and then shot for 7 years.
It's a long time. It's
Yeah.
and very, very rare in today's like entertainment economy. When you got into it in the first place, like, did you expect it to be this long? Did you sign on to 7 years?
Sign on, I think generally, at least for the CW or that type of 22 episode, which is sort of not heard of anymore. People don't do that anymore. TV seasons are like 8 episodes now. The 22 episode long form television CW show was very specific, and I think we were sort of the bookmark end of that type of show. But I think the general contract is 7 seasons. I think that that's what Gossip Girl was, and that's just sort of where you end it for some reason. But so yeah, you kind of sign your life away for 7 seasons, thinking there's no way this would go for 7 years, because I don't know. I mean, it's just you have to. Very few things break through to where you get that many episodes. So yeah, there was no predicting how long. We just kept going.
Do you have a favorite memory from on set?
I always say, I think it's season 3. I think it's an episode called The Midnight Club, and it was really, we were all playing our parents in the 90s in that episode. And we all just got to work together a lot. And a lot of times throughout the series, a lot of us had our own little storylines, and we didn't, at certain points of the season, maybe we weren't interacting as much, but that was an episode where we really all got to just work together, and that was the best, when we all got to just be around each other.
I love that. So you guys started filming in 2016, lasted through 2023. What about that period of time and how much changed within the industry, throughout those years made you want to step into a leadership role with producing or other sorts of things? What about your experience kind of pushed you in that direction?
I mean, I'm not sure there was a direct correlation. I think as far as producing goes, I was given the opportunity to be an EP on the Amazon movie Chemical Hearts, and that was my first opportunity and segue into producing, and I just really loved it. I really loved the opportunity of being able to truly be a part of a project from start, way before it starts to far after you're done filming it. And I just thought that was really satisfying. I'm someone who likes to be super involved, and that was just sort of an opportunity where I could do it without feeling like I was annoying people, because otherwise I would just be like, I'm just checking in how it's going, but this is actually like, it's my job, and I'm watching cuts of the trailer, and I'm not in the editing booth, but sort of get to see the first edit of the movie and give my feedback, and my feedback on post. I don't know, you're just way more involved, and you have a seat at the table, and that was something that I was super grateful to get that opportunity. And then a few years later, I was given a first look deal with Amazon, where I was able to create my own production company, Small Victory, and work with them for the last few years on developing a lot. Yeah.
How does your role as a producer change your creative process, or like who you are on these sets? You said that you can be like a little bit more involved in things, but does it change, especially when you're acting and producing in the same film or show, does it change like how you show up as an actor as well?
I feel maybe there's a little bit more ease, that if something's wrong, I know who to go to about it. Not that everything always goes wrong, but I guess I can just trust that in the edit, if I don't want to say if I don't like something, but I just feel like I can be a part of the movie as a whole, rather than just go in and go out for my days as an actor and then walk away and then sort of twiddle my thumbs waiting for it to come out. I think there's a little bit more of a deep breath that I can take, knowing that I'll be a part of the process and can give feedback and collaborate with whoever I'm working with, and that sort of just makes me feel a little bit more at ease on a set as the actor, because it's hard to show up and say your lines and do your work and go home and then sort of just completely trust that people are gonna make you look good. I guess. Like, it's a lot of trust, being like, here you go, here's my performance, please make me look good, I guess. And so yeah, I guess producing helps me feel like I can take a deeper breath.
It totally makes sense. I'm curious too, that movie Chemical Hearts came out in 2020, so that was in the middle of your Riverdale days, and you acted in multiple other projects during that time as well. Was that intentional to diversify your projects and the stuff that you were working on during that time, or what was the mindset behind that like?
To me and my team, this is a career that I would like to have until for as long as I live. So I guess the strategy was, when I'm not shooting Riverdale, take my time off to do other projects that let me stretch my legs and do completely different genres or characters that I don't get to play on Riverdale. And it's kind of, you're sort of put into a box when you're on a show for so long. People only see you as one thing. And so the projects that I was trying to do outside of that, like Hustlers, for example, it was just like such a far turn from Riverdale that I just was trying to show range, I guess. And so yeah, there's definitely strategy, and from the end of shooting a season to when you really start prepping the next one, you really do not have a lot of time. And so shoving a movie in there, it had to be the right thing, because I also need to go live my life for a second. So it just really, I really have always just tried to be very intentional. I think everything that I've done has to have had an incredible purpose behind it, whether it was a career move or just a passion project. It just had to make sense. Otherwise, I needed to reinvigorate on my time off.
What makes it make sense? Like, are there certain parts of a character or a project that really draws you to it today?
I feel sometimes it's either in a category of this like makes sense as the next move, and then this is a project that I just absolutely have to do because I'm so passionate for it. And I think unfortunately it's rare that those are the same thing. That's just how the industry is today. So it's either one of those two things, and yeah. But I mean, I'm attached to a lot of independent projects, let's say, that haven't been made yet, because those are the hardest movies to get made, and those are the ones that my heart is aching to shoot those movies because of the characters or the story or the filmmaker, but those are just the hardest to push through because of how much the industry is sort of suffering right now.
Yeah, I want to talk about two recent independent projects you worked on, American Sweatshop and Helen Harper. Let's start with American Sweatshop. Can you tell me a little bit more about that project, like what your goal was with it? It's obviously a topic that is, a touchy subject and something that you had to probably have so much care for in telling this story. Can you give me a little bit of an insight of what that was like from your perspective?
That one was actually, fortunately, it came to me, and I think 3 months after I got sent the project I was shooting it, which is rare in my career. It's usually I'm attached to something for 2 years and then it shoots maybe, or longer. So it's rare. It was a very quick turnaround, and it was in 2024, which nothing was shooting because it was post-strike. There were not a lot of projects out there, especially independent. And I went and shot that in Germany, and it's about a content moderator who sees a disturbing video that sticks with her and she can't get it out of her head, and that's a real job of content moderation that people do, and it takes a toll on their mental health. And I'm always trying to talk about mental health, and I'm a big advocate for it. So I liked that aspect of the storytelling, and also just the script really drew me in, and it seemed fun. And it was the only project I was sent in 2024 that I really wanted to do, because there was just such a lack of movement in the industry.
Yeah, Helen Harper is another independent project you just worked on, a series. In that series, you play like a very complex character in a very complex relationship with both her brother and almost everyone else in the show. What was your goal with that story?
Helen Harper is a gem. It was the best script I'd ever read. It was a 300-page document sent to me, all 10 episodes, which have now been truncated to 8. And I was so lucky and confused when I was sent it and read it, because I was still on Riverdale, and I couldn't figure out how or why Cooper Rife, our director, writer, editor, actor, producer, wanted me for it. I think his style, I had seen Cha Cha Real Smooth and Shithouse, his other 2 movies, and I was so flattered and also confused as to why he saw me in that such like raw, nuanced world. And I was flattered, like so flattered, because that's my type of bread and butter acting. But I just didn't, I had to ask him, I was like, why me? And he really said that he liked casting actors based off of their interviews to see just who they are as human beings. And I think, not to put words in his mouth, he was watching interviews of me and said, oh, that's my sister. So we had a meeting in LA during a summer off of shooting Riverdale, and we connected, and then he sent me the whole show, and I was pretty blown away by it.
What is the process like to then take these independent projects from like an idea, these meetings that you're having, like this excitement that you have behind it, to then obviously, you know, creating it and producing it, but then getting it sold as well? For people who don't know much about like the indie to mainstream comparisons, what is that like?
It's the hardest thing of all time, because you truly, you shoot something independently without the guarantee that anyone will see it ever. And so you're shooting something, you get money from a financier or from an independent production company, and then you're sent out into the world and get to shoot it. And then once it's edited, you take it out to studios or streamers and say, will you buy this? And most of the time it's a no. And I think, you know, it's so heartbreaking, the process, to know that you've put so much, people on indies are working for very little money, crew, cast, and you're really there because you love it, and it's for the art of it all. And so the fact that those are the hardest projects to push through and to get seen by people is really disappointing. I think it's pretty backwards how that works in our industry, and we should reward independent filmmakers a lot more than we are currently. But so it took 2 years post shooting Hal and Harper to get it sold, which was a heartbreaking process of thinking for a moment that the most special thing Cooper and I both respectively had worked on was possibly never going to be seen, was just deeply upsetting. But we did not lose faith or steam and kept pushing it out there, and eventually sold to Mubi, so to premiere in October. So we just feel lucky that it gets to be out there in the world, even if it's not seen by the masses. We're just happy that the work that we put into it will be out there to exist.
I love that. What about American Sweatshop and Hal and Harper do you think really pushed it over that line? Like, why were they some of the few indie projects that are able to take off?
I mean, very different reasons. I think people love thrillers, and American Sweatshop is a thriller. I think it's just a genre that people will watch no matter who's in it. And I think it's especially because how modern it is in this world of we can see anything and everything on our phones. The content moderation job is so fascinating to people. So I think the concept, but also just the genre, really pushed it over the edge. Whereas Hal and Harper, I think everyone who watches it just knows how special it is, and it's unlike other television. I think television has a very specific look and feel right now, not across the board, but a lot of it. And this show just feels sort of like an indie film broken up into 8 parts, and I think that's what sets it apart. And so a streaming service like Mubi that I think really champions indie filmmaking and indie filmmakers and that sort of just film and television. It doesn't surprise me that they were the one that bought the show.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me too that so much film and television today seems kind of just like content that we're seeing like in vertical and oftentimes on our phones, or just being promoted or made in those ways. How are you walking the line of using things like social media to promote your work and continue to push it out there, but not like lose that filmmaker essence to what you are doing?
I think TikTok in particular is a very specific medium with which there's strategy behind promoting a show or a movie on TikTok, for example. I think I knew what kind of videos to make, let's say for The Love Hypothesis, which is a film that I wrapped this summer. I knew what kind of TikToks to make for that movie that wouldn't work on any other, like it's not how, you would traditionally promote a movie. But it's just like, it just goes to show how much the industry is changing. You know, for Hal and Harper, it's an independent television show that's not going on the streamer that every single person has. So I have to strategically, you know, go out of my way on TikTok to make TikToks with my co-stars, however many of them I can wrangle together, to show this independent, you know, the concepts of this show to an audience that may otherwise not see it. So for example, the show is about a codependent brother and sister, but again, because the show just doesn't have the largest platform, I'm gonna take to my TikTok to make fun of and poke fun at and like highlight the codependent brother-sister dynamic, so people scrolling, not thinking about, oh, I wanna watch a new TV show, can see this funny-ish, whatever you wanna call it, TikTok, and go, oh, I have a codependent relationship with my sibling, I'm gonna tune into this show. Just to sort of, that's just my marketing brain thinking this is how I'm gonna get people to discover something that they would maybe not otherwise stumble upon, by showing them that, hey, this is what the show is about, take it or leave it. If you're not interested, totally fine, but like, this is not at all the vibe of the show. Our show's quite dramatic and has real life laughing at yourself comedy, but it's not slapsticky or mainstream. And so kind of doing marketing that feels more mainstream is just a way to sort of get people to look at something that they normally wouldn't see. Yeah.
How else do you feel like social media and these many streaming networks now have changed the industry at large, both as an actor, a producer, but also in the ways that, you know, consumers are engaging with your guys' projects today?
You have 2 seconds to get someone's attention, not even. I mean, how long do you watch something before you scroll away? I think it's like 1 second. I'm sure someone has the exact timestamp, and that's really challenging for anyone and everyone, but so you have to stand out in your first visual, and it's just I think increasingly more difficult to capture people's attention. They're watching TV, but they're also scrolling on their phone at the same time, which again makes it harder for a show like, or a movie that's not so in your face. And I think that's why a lot of film and television feel like content, because it almost seems like something that was meant to just capture your attention rather than something you're sitting on your couch for 2 hours to enjoy and not look at another screen. It's like, how can we keep your attention for as long as possible? And that just has shifted the medium. I think just like the content, the movies in general are not slow and don't have, same with like network television. On Riverdale, there's rarely a moment of breath. You have to keep the audience engaged constantly for 22 episodes a season, and you need a cliffhanger or whatever at the end of an episode to make them go to the next one. So I just think the whole way that we look at film and television now is a lot more just content, capture the attention and keep it. And that's a challenge all in and of itself. And so the project itself sort of becomes a little obsolete if it can't do that. But that's not, you know, that's not really, that's where you lose the art of it. And so that's why indie filmmaking, which is truly based, like, you have no money, you're there because you want to be there and for the art of it all. That's why it's so hard to push it over the line, because it's not made to like stimulate your brain for 2 hours straight. Yeah.
How are you thinking about these things then with Small Victory Productions, with your deal with Amazon? Like, what does all of this mean for what you guys are producing and how you guys are telling the stories?
I mean, we're very thankful to Amazon for our deal. I think with us, our projects are all in development, and there's so many of them, but development truly takes years and years and years. And by the time a movie is made, it was probably written over 6 years ago, usually, like something along those lines. It's just goes through years of development that people don't see. And that's why I'm fortunate when I can get sent a script and 3 months later I'm on a set. I feel that that's very rare. It's usually a slow burn of connecting the dots and getting people to read it and getting financing. But so for our production company, we have ideas that we find propulsive and modern and relevant, but you know, but I'm not one, I don't want to just make content just to make content. So if something doesn't get pushed through, then it wasn't meant to be. You know, if we don't end up shooting one thing or the other, then it's fine. I wouldn't want to sacrifice the quality of something just to fit a niche box. We have so much content. I just don't want to add to the noise if it's not actually meaningful to me or to my producing partner or to the people making it. So, yeah.
How many projects are currently in the works right now? Can you share?
Like 14.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And are those mostly film, TV, a mix of both?
It's both. It's mostly film.
Okay.
We have a pocket of television in development, but television's so hard and no one really wants to do limited series anymore, so it's usually ongoing, which is hard to find a concept broad enough. People want really broad concepts, and it's hard to find that concept and have an interesting spin on it. So it's mostly film and a lot for me to star in. But again, maybe I'll out-age those projects because it just takes so long.
Yeah. It's exciting though to see all this happening amid, like you said at the beginning, kind of an industry that is like struggling in some ways. What do you think is the future of film and TV right now? How are you thinking about this as like, especially the founder of a production company, having to put a little bit of that like business hat on?
Yeah. I mean, you sort of have to bend the knee a little bit to the industry in order to get things made. Like it's just the nature of it. Like we had to, shift, for example, Helen Harper from 10 episodes to 8 and sort of change the rhythm of them in order to be more consumer friendly. You just have to go with the flow of the times. Otherwise, would you rather people see the work or not at all? Like maybe see it and maybe not exactly how you originally envisioned it or not at all. So I guess I have been using the term like bend the knee to the industry a little bit, as much as you can bear without sacrificing your artistic integrity. But I think just trying to balance with my production company a story I want to tell versus does it fit in the market today, and just being strategic and picky and choosy about those specific things, and knowing that it's probably going to take 5 years.
Yeah. What's your best piece of advice for others who are either building brands or building their own personal brand on a place like social or through these other avenues that you've done in terms of how to connect with people today?
I think, to be honest, the market is so unpredictable. I had an idea of the products that I thought would be our biggest sellers that are our lowest selling product of the bunch. Like there's no predicting at all. And so try everything, see what works, see what resonates with the audience, and then lean harder on that foot. But I think thinking that you know exactly what's going to happen is the wrong thing to think. I keep thinking that I know, this is going to do really well, or this is going to maybe not do so well, and then it's the one that sells out. So there's just unpredictability, and being prepared for that and being able to pivot and shift and lean harder into the things that are working. So being flexible, I think, is incredibly important.
My last question for you is, what is next for you as Lili? Like there are so many things that are going on in your life and your business and your career right now. What are you most excited about pursuing, like either personally or with these different career endeavors within the next like 12 months?
That's a good question. I think I have a lot of different avenues right now in my life that take up a lot of time, and I often prioritize those, but I think like I'm looking forward to the holidays where you're sort of given built-in time for yourself, because that's what you need in order to keep going. So I shot a lot this year, but I'm taking a little bit of time at the end of this year and the beginning of next to recuperate and be a human in my house before I go play another character again. So I think I'm looking forward to giving myself the space to do that. And being on set means you're not at home, and I'm someone who gets built back up by my time at home. So I'm in my sort of building myself back up phase in my life right now over the next few months. So then I can go onto a set and be like, I'm ready, I missed this, I'm ready to be here. I'm not going to be homesick, because when you're shooting something when you're homesick, it's incredibly challenging. So giving myself the space to be home.
I think it's a good reminder for everyone to just like take a minute in our very oftentimes chaotic and busy lives, because you can't show up as your best version if you don't give yourself that time.
Great.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much.